Coming up, Iowa City takes a stand for science.
The health effects that come with daylight savings.
A jump into spring, I'll have your full forecast and weather.
All that and more
Coming up right now on DITV.
Good morning from Iowa City. It is Monday, March 10th. I'm Grace Lathrop.
And I'm Liz Schultz.
And the third member of our team, Annika Perez, is live outside to tell us today's weather story.
You know, Grace, I've had enough with the winter coats and the scarves. Annika, are things going to start warming up soon?
Well, guys, get ready for tank tops and shorts because this week is going to be warm. I'm currently at Hubbard Park where it is 35 degrees and sunny. Looking out onto the Pentacrest, we can see that today is going to be gorgeous. The temperature is going to skyrocket with a high of 72 and a low in the high 30s tonight. Unfortunately, tomorrow's high will dip to the high 50s. However, it will still be warm enough for some t-shirts. I'll have the rest of the week's forecast later. For now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Annika. And Iowa City hosted an international protest on Friday. Hundreds of protesters in the Iowa City area gathered to make their voices heard. DITV's Isabel Thier went out and caught what was happening.
On Friday's cold afternoon, hundreds of protesters gathered to have their voices be heard with signs, chants, and petitions. I'm standing here outside the Pentacrest where students and community members protest and stand for science. They kicked things off with music from a local band and had poster-making activities for everyone to do. Then they transitioned on to having speakers and gathered to listen to their stories. The Stand for Science campaign started back in 2017 and is now resurfaced. They advocate for the restoration of federal funding, rehiring of wrongfully terminated employees, and to keep government censorship out of science.
There's been a little bit of an anti-science movement, right, in funding cuts, and we're concerned about that.
This international protest took place in Europe as well as in Canada and 45 of the 50 states. The protesters are confident that this will make some noise and get them on the right track for change.
We all recognize that we can't do it ourselves, but together we can facilitate that change.
We want to make sure our legislators hear us and know that we aren't going to stop fighting for this.
As a national walkout, protesters believe that it is worth stepping away from work to advocate for what they really believe in and defend the attacks that the government has had on science. Stand together. Science wins! As the protest wraps up, the Stand for Science doesn't. From the University of Iowa, Isabel Thier, DITV.
Two men have been accused of stealing from a corner store in Iowa City. Christian Shura and Daniel Villegas allegedly stole $13,000 from two ATMs from the LM Mighty Shop on March 6. Through a process known as ATM jackpotting, the pair used cards with a code that overrode the ATM and forced it to dispense all the cash inside.
A Georgia man is facing a dozen charges in Johnson County. Investigators say Michael McCarthy and 5 others cashed or attempted to cash forged checks at banks across eastern Iowa. He is being charged with theft, conspiracy to commit non-forcible felony, and 10 counts of forgery. His team recruited help from shelters and community food pantries and paid them $150 a day to cash forged checks.
And the Iowa legislators' first deadline was on Friday, where many bills were advanced.
That's why we have DITV's Cole Krieger live in the newsroom with the legislative roundup.
Thanks, guys. 8 new bills have been advanced during the first major deadline of the 2025 legislative session. The first bill that was advanced will restrict cell phone use in Iowa schools. The bill would add a rule forcing 6th through 8th graders to learn the effects of social media as part of the health curriculum. Governor Kim Reynolds proposed a bill that would give more funding for healthcare providers. The bill would also provide financial incentives and adding federal funds to add medical residency positions. With the 8 bills that were advanced, 6 failed to move forward. One of the bills that failed to advance would have required law enforcement agencies in Iowa to come to an agreement with ICE to identify and take in immigrants without lawful statuses. Another bill that didn't advance would have expanded the ban on the topic of LGBTQ+ being taught in public. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed an extension of the proclamation on weight limits and the transportation of grain, manure, and fertilizer products on Saturday. This proclamation was taken into effect immediately and will continue so until April 7th, 2025. This will apply to all loads transported on every highway in Iowa as long as they don't exceed 90,000 pounds without a permit throughout the proclamation. And in some Department of Justice news, Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird has urged the FDA to eliminate and track down counterfeit weight loss drugs. The huge demand for weight loss drugs like Ozempic has caused an uproar of fake medications being passed around. These fake drugs can have deadly consequences, which Brenna Bird has voiced her concerns about and wants the DEA to take action. We'll continue to monitor the DEA's involvement with these counterfeit drugs. Back to you guys.
And as we jump ahead this spring with daylight savings, some issues arise with the change of time. As the country loses an hour of sleep, the American Academy of Medicine has found a rise in several trends. These trends include more car crashes, changes in cardiovascular system, mood changes, and other effects. The change in light exposure throughout the day also plays a part in these effects. While the changes differ depending on the person, some groups are more likely to experience these trends compared to others.
Some people are more affected by the change than others. And people who are more affected are likely people who already have some sleep difficulties.
For those experiencing these difficulties, there are ways to combat the change. These include shifting bedtimes, daily routines, and other actions to help the body adjust to the change.
And I know I'm super excited with daylight savings. We get an extra hour of sunlight, which is so nice. But for now, let's send it out to Annika again to hear about the nice weather that's coming up in Iowa City.
All right, guys, let's waste no time and get into this wonderful week ahead. Wednesday will stay partly cloudy with a high in the low 60s and dip to the low 30s in the night. Thursday will turn out to have a perfect sunny high of 71 and a warm low in the mid 50s. Make sure to pack an umbrella on Friday as it's going to thunderstorm later that night. However, make sure to enjoy the day as it will be a lovely 77 degrees. Saturday will be partly cloudy with some wind and drop down to the low 50s. Sunday will be the coldest out of the week with a high in the low 40s and the low in the mid 20s. Make sure to enjoy the sun this week and take a walk downtown. For now, I'll send it back to the studio.
Thanks, Annika. And switching gears just a little bit, a lot of postseason play this weekend for the Hawkeyes.
We're going to send it over to Colin Crithers with a peek at DITV's sports segment In the Zone following the newscast.
As you guys said there, we had some Big Ten tournaments, a national championship. We'll also have a breaking story with Iowa softball and, of course, our top 5 plays and so much more. So stick around for our DITV Sports In the Zone.
And that'll do for DITV's news this morning. DITV Sports segment In the Zone is coming up next.
We'll be back on Wednesday morning with more Iowa City news. For Cole Krieger, I'm Liz Schultz.
And I'm in for Annika Perez. I'm Grace Lathrop. Stay tuned following the break for In the Zone.
In Iowa City, history is being made every day. DITV is capturing it all. The future of our nation.
I'm here at Big Grove Brewery, where the Johnson County Democratic Party is hosting one of many
Wisconsin, which has been an influential county in American election history.
In Las Vegas, Nevada, where a few hours from now polls are going.
Historic careers.
And despite the slow start, the Hawkeyes still managed to get their first win of the season.
Disappointing night on the West Coast for the Iowa Hawkeyes, not just because of the loss.
For Iowa, defensively, they played a full 4 quarters, but offensively.
Student experiences.
I'm at the Ped Mall in downtown Iowa City, the center for nightlife.
I'm here at the Ped Mall, where Iowa City residents come downtown to celebrate a beloved Hawkeye tradition.
The Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, where volunteers are working round the clock to get these animals adopted.
Politics, sports, and art. Local, state, and nationwide. In front of the camera, behind the scenes, DITV.
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 DITV. DITV Sports.
DITV
is capturing history.
Coming up, a look at some Big Ten tournament action.
And later, Iowa has some new national champions.
DITV Sports in the Zone. I'm Colin Carruthers.
And I'm Joel Keller, and we're going to give you a look at everything going on in Hawkeye athletics.
Well, to start things off, Hawkeye Hoops was in full action, and the women's basketball team got a couple of wins in the Big Ten tournament over the weekend.
That's right, but they lost a close one on Friday to send them home, and DITV's Brady Barron was in Indianapolis to break down their loss to Ohio State.
The Iowa Hawkeyes dropped a heartbreaker to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament, losing 60-59. Iowa stumbled out of the gates while Ohio State charged out, taking an early 12-5 lead led by Cody McMahon. Hawkeye fans answered with some "Let's Go Hawks" chants to help Iowa force 4 turnovers in the final 5 minutes and cut the lead to 5.
They played a lot more zone defense than the first time we played them, and we didn't execute real well against it, and so that gave us problems.
Iowa took their first lead in the second quarter on the back of a Hannah Stolke bucket to make it 28-26, but a tough and one from Taylor Theory snagged the lead back before halftime. The third quarter was a back-and-forth battle, with each team trading shots from all over the court, but a late OSU bucket gave them yet another end-of-quarter lead. The fourth quarter was a physical battle. Lucy Olson, who led the team with 14 points through the first 3 quarters, was held scoreless in the fourth, and Taylor McCabe missed 3 shots from deep, going 0 for 6 on the day.
I think we got a lot of good open shots. We just didn't hit as many as we needed to.
Unfortunately, Taylor McCabe was just really cold. I'll take Taylor McCabe just about every day.
Sydney Fulter got hot, hitting a tough lay and a big 3 to take the lead with about a minute left, but a Stolke foul on McMahon sent her to the line to take the lead. A Fulter with a chance to win the game missed a physical layup with 0.7 seconds left on the clock. Stolke got a look to take the lead, but left it short, sending the Buckeyes on to the semifinal.
I think you better look first and foremost at the decisions you were making. Maybe I should have gone a different way in that last 6.8 seconds, but I wouldn't trade the experience. I wouldn't trade the fun of trying to win it.
Despite the loss, Coach Jan Jensen's proud of the Hawkeyes' fight this season, and she's ready for the NCAA tournament.
These guys should feel really good. It was big shoes when they all started. Their shadows were looming, and non-con went pretty well, hit a little rockiness, but boy, I think we should feel pretty good going into the tournament.
The Hawkeyes won't know where they'll play until Selection Sunday on March 16th. From Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, Brady Barron, DITV Sports.
We'll have a look at where the Hawkeyes might play in the NCAA tournament later on.
Moving on to the men's team, they got a big win over the weekend to keep their season alive. Last night, the Hawkeyes took down the Nebraska Cornhuskers in a win in battle, winning 83-68. The Hawkeyes were led by Peyton Sanford, who scored 22 points and hauled in 8 rebounds, willing the Hawkeyes into the Big Ten tournament.
That's what he wanted for his brother. That's what he wanted for his teammates. That's what he wanted to do when he came back to lead this team. So seeing him enjoy that opportunity, that's what puts a smile on my face.
We'll take a look at how the men's bracket is going to shake out here in a few moments, and it's going to be a tough road for the Hawkeyes.
Oh, absolutely it is. But, well, for one season came to an end this weekend, it was national title season for the women's wrestling team at Extreme Arena. The Iowa Hawkeyes had 3 wrestlers who climbed to the top of the podium to be crowned as national champions.
The championship bouts began for Iowa at 145 pounds as Macy Kilty faced former Hawkeye and North Central's third-ranked Bella Murr. In what was a scrappy and highly contested matchup, Kilty would walk away with a 7-2 win and finish her season 28-0.
She came in my face and I don't even know if she knew what she was going to say to me. She just wanted to start something and I just said, hey, respect my school.
Next, it was Kennedy Blades and Kylie Welker, who both won by tech fall to finish undefeated seasons. It was Blades who was named the tournament's most outstanding wrestler, and Welker, who won in 58 seconds, who became the program's first back-to-back individual champion. JC Fuller would also compete in the championship round, where she would lose and finish in second at 207 pounds. But the team would still finish the evening by dancing around a shrine of trophies and taking a deep breath, becoming national champions in their second consecutive season.
We brought 15 All-American. You know, it's a testament to each and every one of them.
Well, this past weekend, Iowa also had 4 wrestlers who finished third in their respective brackets, which really helped them push their score to 201.5 for their second straight national title.
And I know it might be early to look this far into the future, but I am very intrigued with how things will go next season because women's wrestling is becoming the 91st NCAA championship sport.
Absolutely. It's going to be really exciting. They'll be joining the men's team as a championship sport. And, well, they were also in action this past weekend in the Big Ten tournament. We have DITV's Elise Scan, who went to Illinois for full coverage of the tournament.
The second-ranked Iowa men's wrestling team came in third place in the 2025 Big Ten Wrestling Championships. On the first day of the tournament, Iowa sent 5 wrestlers to the semifinals, going 5-1 in the first round matches and 5-4 in the quarterfinals. Coming into Sunday, Iowa had 3 wrestlers in the 3rd and 5th place rounds. Gabe Arnold and Patrick Kennedy both came in 3rd place, along with Kyle Parko in 4th and Ben Keeter in 3rd.
I think one thing this weekend did for me is just realize how hard college wrestling is, I guess you could say. And if you don't step out there every time and you're not ready, you're gonna get beat or you're not gonna wrestle as good as you should. So.
Later in the evening, 3 Iowa wrestlers competed in the championship, starting with Drake Ayala in the 133. The match started out even-paced until 15 seconds into the second period. Number 2, Luke Bird from Illinois, hit the gas, pinning Ayala and snatching the number 1 rank for himself. Things did not look up for the next Iowa wrestler as Mikey Caliendo in the 157 took the loss to Penn State's Messenbrink in a battle down to the final second.
Number 1 ranked Stephen Buchanan was all the Hawkeyes had left in the finals as they needed another win, but he couldn't quite get it.
The number 1 ranked 197-pound wrestler was handed his first loss of the entire season, bringing his overall record to 20-1 and shocking the wrestling world.
I think you have to be looking forward, and you evaluate, you look forward, you get better, and you got to really look forward to the competition, not just looking forward because the date's on the calendar. You're looking forward to the competition, like I'm excited to compete in the national championships.
The Hawkeyes will now look forward to the NCAA National Championships just in a little under 2 weeks. From Welsh Ryan Arena, Elise Scan, DITV Sports.
Well, Joel, it just seems as if all of these sports are just charging towards the finish line.
It absolutely does, and there's nothing better than tournament time, filling out some brackets, even though mine always lose. But we're going to send it to Sydney Goldberg, who is joining us in the studio for some projections and set brackets and what they look like.
Thanks, guys. The women's basketball team is up in the air with where they will play, but with it being Selection Sunday now just under a week away, most projections are looking at Iowa sliding in as a 6 seed or even a 7 seed, though most are leaning toward them being a 6 seed line. In the latest ESPN bracketology, Iowa will be a 6 seed facing 11 seed James Madison in Durham, North Carolina, whereas Duke would host the number 3 seed. In this projection, if the Hawkeyes were to beat James Madison and Duke, they could be set up for a date with the TCU Horned Frogs, new home of Haley Van Lith, who had a couple battles with the Caitlin Clark-led Hawkeyes in recent years. The men's team, however, does know who they will face Wednesday, as they will be in Indianapolis for the first round of the Big Ten tournament. They just got in with a win over Nebraska, so they are the 15th and last seed in the tournament and will play first the 10th seeded Ohio State. If they were able to get past the Buckeyes, they would compete with the 7th seed Illinois Fighting Illini. The men are currently projected to miss the NCAA tournament, so they'll need a strong showing in the Big Ten tournament to get any buzz, and they may even need to win the whole thing. It would have to look similar to what NC State did last year, going on a run in March, winning the ACC and sliding into the Big Dance. Selection Sunday will take place on March 16th following the men's Big Ten championship, where the Hawkeyes will learn what their future will hold. That's been a little bit of a look into Madness of March. Back to you guys.
Well, how cool would it be if you make a run like that? But I don't know if you heard, Joel, spring break is actually coming up for this week for students, which I know I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I definitely am too, but the softball team's still out here participating, still playing a ton of games, and they're down in Alabama for the spring break showdown, where they went 1-3. But, down south, good warm weather. The Hawkeyes would face Louisiana Lafayette and the number 21 team in the country, Alabama, twice, once each on Friday as well as on Saturday. Iowa would win their first game of the weekend against the Raging Cajuns 4-2.
Well, however, they then lost in 6 innings to the Crimson Tide, and they would lose both games the following day by a total of 7 runs and are now 14-8 on the season. But the softball team also had some major shakeup over the weekend. Interim head coach Brian Levine has been let go from the program following a meeting that he called with the team about some players' decision to kneel during the national anthem. After he felt he was sticking up for players who, quote, didn't have his back, he told players after their only win this weekend that was the last game he had coached at Iowa. Stating in a message to the Daily Iowan, quote, that's not an environment I condone or promote, let alone be blamed for later for creating, end quote. Well, there have been some major changes with softball so much already this season.
The team will look to stay on track with their home opener coming up on Wednesday. The Hawkeyes will compete in a doubleheader against the St. Thomas Tommies starting at 3 p.m. on Big Ten Plus.
Well, on the other side of the diamond, Iowa baseball won 2 of their 3 games in their Big Ten opening series this weekend on the road against Rutgers. While the Hawkeyes lost Game 1 on Friday 4-5, they would storm back in their other 2 games.
Saturday was an offensive onslaught as Iowa won 16-0 in 7 innings and slugged a grand total of 6 home runs on the day. This bled into the rubber match yesterday where Iowa continued to take care of business with a 12-6 win.
Well, next up for the baseball team, they have a home battle with Augustana on Tuesday.
Then they're going to stay home and host the Michigan State Spartans this weekend for their first Big Ten home series.
Well, now, Joel, I think it's time. We've held them off long enough. I think it's time for our favorite part of the show.
I think so, too. I'm looking forward to it. Our top 5 plays here on In the Zone.
First, starting with number 5, looking over to the tennis courts. Iowa taking on number 4, Michigan. Nikita Vishwash there, the dump, getting it over there. The reaction, the speed, as it was right there, right before it lands, sends it back. Now, Iowa would still lose the doubles point to the number 4 team, Michigan.
Now number 4, Blake Guerin stepping in. He's been hot and he stays hot. Launching it to deep left center field. A no-doubter, a solo shot to put the Hawkeyes up 16-0. Another look. What a swing, 425 feet. Blake Guerin is hot.
Now for number 3, going over to Iowa Gymnastics, their senior night. They're taking on the Iowa State Cyclones as Karina Munoz on vault sticks the landing. She's been phenomenal all season long for this team. She was the all-around winner and had a 9-9 score on vault, which led her team in that event.
And we'll sneak right back to the diamond where Anthony Watts is on the mound, fields it behind his back over to second, and getting it over the first double play. I mean, what a play there by Anthony Watts. Can you even believe it?
No, I am shocked that you can even do that. The reaction speed, the whole thing. But looking over at our top play on In the Zone, Kylie Welker and the NCWWC Championships taking on the number 2 seed from Grand Valley State. The barrel roll points there. She would win the championship bout in just 58 seconds. And Joel, we just saw some tennis there in the top 5, but they start off Big Ten play with 2 home matches against Michigan State or Michigan, or rather as Michiganders would say it, from here and from here. The Hawkeyes first hosted the Spartans where Iowa got an early lead as they earned the doubles point and dropped only 1 singles match on their other way to a 4-1 victory.
Then they welcomed the number 4 team in the country who made quick work of Iowa winning the doubles point and their first 3 singles matches for a 4-0 win.
Tennis will next travel to our neighbors to the east in Illinois. They'll first face the Fighting Illini this upcoming Friday.
Then the team will head up to Evanston on Sunday to take on the Northwestern Wildcats.
Well, then Iowa Gymnastics wrapped up senior night with the 4th highest team score in program history to take down the Cyclones 197-195. Hawkeyes would break season-high team scores on both bars and beam as the team moved to 4-3 on the season.
Karina Munoz would score a 9.9 on beam, following senior Haley Tyson with the same score. Munoz would also win the all-around title with a score of 39.475, and the 5 seniors honored for Iowa now close out their careers with undefeated records in the Cyhawk Series.
Well, that'll be a look at everything we have here on DITV Sports in the Zone. I'm Colin Carruthers.
And I'm Joel Keller.
Make sure to tune in next week and keep up with all of Hawkeye Sports on DailyIon.com and DITV Sports YouTube page. Again, we'll join you next week for DITV Sports in the Zone.